Lori slumped onto her futon. She opened her laptop and started to go over her finances, even if she already knew what the results were going to be. A notebook was used to record figures. By the time she was done, she was scowling at the paper. She had scrimped to save what she could, and replacing the car window seemed like such a waste right now. When she'd signed the lease for the studio apartment combination, she'd known that money would be tight for a while. It took time to establish a new photography business, after all. Over the course of the last 6 months, she'd learned just how hard it was going to be. It was a struggle, but she was doing something she loved. On her own, without the help of her parents or their money. That made it all worthwhile, even if she did get tired of eating rice and ramen noodles. She walked down to Daisy Bell's for dinner once a week, and that was a treat. There was something about the vegetable beef soup that she loved. Lori stood and retrieved a box of saltines out of a cabinet. She bit the corner off a cracker, and tiny white crumbs sprinkled the countertop. An image of Officer Chandler's face crept into her mind. Goodness, the man was tall. She'd felt tiny in comparison. And safe. The last thought surprised her. She'd been upset that it had taken the police almost an hour to show up after she called, but she had to admit he'd gone the extra mile. That counted for a lot in her book. With a flourish, she tossed the rest of the cracker into her mouth, dusted her hands off over the sink, and checked her calendar. She stifled a yawn. Thank God for the 2 photo sessions on the schedule for tomorrow. He knew she needed the money. It had been a long day, and Lori was more than happy to be driving back home again. The plastic over the passenger side window flapped in the wind as she hunched her shoulders against the cold. She had to turn up the volume on the radio to hear it. She smiled as she thought back over the 2 photo sessions. They had gone extremely well. The next step would be to go through all of the images over the following week and process them. She couldn't wait to be able to upload the finished pictures so that the families could see them. A vision of the newborn peeing on his daddy made her chuckle. It was all part of the job, and she came prepared. But she had to admit, she was glad it was him and not her. The day ended with a trip to one of the local ponds. The moon was full, and she couldn't resist taking photos of its brilliance reflected in the water. Now it was late, and all she wanted to do was go upstairs to her apartment and slip under the warm quilt on her bed. Still smiling, Lori pulled her car to a stop and stepped onto the pavement. The early night air seeped through her jacket. Her feet quickened, thoughts of hot tea an incentive to unlock the door and get all of the equipment from the trunk of her car as quickly as possible. She reached for the door. Her hand stilled when it swung open a couple of inches before she had a chance to insert the key. Holding her breath, she nudged it open further with her foot. She squinted, trying to make out the shapes in the dark room. Had she forgotten to lock the door? No, surely not. She usually double and triple checked to make sure everything was secure before she left. Hands shaking, she reached for the light switch. Feeling the plastic with the tip of a finger, she pushed it upward. The light that illuminated her studio made her eyes burn, and she blinked as she stepped inside. Swallowing hard, her gaze flickered from the desk against one wall to the stand supporting her backdrops. A man stepped away from one of the shadows in the back corner of the room. Lori screamed.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.